Hey, it's Happy Easter, it's Happy Passover, some of it's happy, some of it's not. We're going to have a good conversation.
The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
When the calendars converge, I always think it's cool. When Christmas and Hanukkah are kind of close to each other, even though they're not really relevant to each other, it's always kind of, hey, you know, the gift-giving part of it kind of gets into common ground. And we've talked about that on various occasions here. When Passover and Easter come together as closely as they do this year, it's a fascinating conversation because I think a lot of you are curious. You may not articulate that you're curious, but I think you're curious about it. And if I'm wrong, oh well, we'll see you next week. The instinct I have is that I am not wrong about that. So we have representation from both the Jewish community and the Christian Catholic community here, and I can't wait to have this conversation. So with no further ado, you know, on Fridays we tape the program on Thursday. In other words, every Friday show you would see is on Thursday. So we are recording this program on Holy Thursday, and Passover observances begin tomorrow, if I understand correctly. Here's a couple of headlines just to refresh you that there is a Passover to be celebrated, observed, and of course Good Friday, which is the most solemn day of the Christian calendar. And one of my heartaches is that it's really not observed that way by too many people anymore. Right, Father?
That's right.
Sort of, in a way. Father Tim Reilly is here, and Rabbi Sarah Mack comes back for, you've been here a couple, 3 times. We always enjoy the conversation. Thank you for joining us. First, a couple of things. Appropriate to say Happy Passover.
Absolutely.
It's a celebration.
It is a celebration.
Moses, Exodus.
Absolutely. We say Chag Sameach in Hebrew, which rejoice in your festival, but that is part of the commandment to celebrate. So Happy Passover is very appropriate.
Little more complicated, I think. Happy Easter, obviously. Happy Good Friday?
Could be. Could be. We say blessed, maybe blessed Good Friday. Certainly could be. Should be.
Yes. So we're just going to go back and forth, and this would be a casual conversation as if we were having coffee and just hanging out about this whole thing. We celebrate Passover beginning at sundown tomorrow.
That's correct.
And tell me, is this more of a religious theological moment or a cultural celebration?
It is very much a religious theological moment, and I think for many Jews across the world, it's also a cultural moment as well. There are foods and cultural traditions that are part of the celebration around the Seder table. It is a home-based holiday, although there are synagogue observances. There are certain foods and family traditions that are different for each culture around the world that are very much part of the holiday as well. So I would say both. And
they are, the tradition, the food, the menu traditions are tied to what concept?
So that we don't eat chametz, which is leavening, and so that would be five grains that left for a period of time become leavened, left for 18 minutes or more become leavened, and so that's what matzah, and everybody knows about
the
matzah.
Philosophy, the theological philosophy supporting that behavior is what?
That as the Israelites left Egypt, there was not time for the bread to rise, and therefore they ate matzah. It's also the bread of affliction. It's a reminder that we were slaves in the land of Egypt, that there are many hungry around the world, and we recall that each time we tell the Passover story.
Do we have any correlative Christian menu other than no meat on Friday observances, fasting during the Lenten season, and certainly on Good Friday? There aren't really a lot of menu-oriented concepts going on here.
Nothing liturgical or dietary as far as laws, Dan. In the Catholic sense, we do break down into like cultural nationalities in the church would make a favorite dish. In the States here, there's a tendency to have ham on Easter, but there's nothing liturgical or dietary in that regard. That would be as specific and as beautiful and broad, really, as the Jewish menu during these holy days.
So why is there so much menu tied in along the calendar with your observances? In general,
or for Passover? Well, Passover, I think there are restrictions. Everybody looks forward to matzo ball soup, right? Gefilte fish, which is a little bit more of an acquired taste. Certain things that respect the dietary limitations of Passover. And I would say that, to say there's one tradition across all of Judaism is wrong. You have Ashkenazic Jews from Eastern Europe who have certain dietary customs, and you have Sephardic Jews from the Mediterranean that have very different dietary customs. So I actually think we can't ascribe one monolithic cultural norm to all observances.
Okay. But there is a leniency toward your observances having a menu.
Oh, it's always
menu attachment.
It's stomach based, is what you're saying.
Right.
Yes.
I'm just. Is there a deeper rooted reason for that?
Is there a deeper rooted reason for that?
Well, let me ask you this: is there a deeper rooted reason why I'm Catholic Christian, don't have that kind of liturgical theological tie to menu items?
I think the focus would be primarily, at least Holy Thursday, even into Good Friday, we're looking at the cross, we're looking at the Eucharist. And in that sense, especially today, Holy Thursday, we're focusing on the meal that Jesus gave us at a Seder meal, obviously, and through that tradition. But the focus for us usually is on the Eucharist, right on into Easter, and then it's time to feast. Fasting's over with. We go from not eating meat or giving up candy to having everything we want after the Easter Vigil Mass. So that's sort of how we build it up. But it's around the Eucharist, I would say.
All right. So it's fascinating. Let me lay the lumber on you guys here for just a second. I can't wait to hear your answers. So Passover is the story of the Exodus, Moses, and the escape. It's Old Testament. You buy it?
Absolutely.
That it happened?
I do.
You buy it, that it happened?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Sorry for the crass way I asked the question. I have had many seminars, many classes, high school up to collegiate, where there's differences in opinion on the difference between what would be literal history and epic history, certainly in the Old Testament. For instance, Father and I haven't talked about this. This may not go very well. Creation, Adam and Eve. Literal? Did it happen?
Well, they're saying that there were probably two parents, whether they were Adam and Eve in a garden. It's not really necessary to believe every detail of creation. And, the Holy Church has always taught that you don't have to believe every tenet, every theory of how we came into being. We have a creator. But there's room to kind of study and pray through that. But at the same time, the Adam and Eve story certainly would have some of the foundations and all the essentials we need to, to live the faith.
How far back does the Jewish faith believe literal things happened in the Old Testament?
So I would say that certainly my movement doesn't necessarily look at it through the same literal lens, or that creation wouldn't come at the expense of science. That's a question I get all the time, but that it maybe isn't either or, it's both and, that creation can be sort of the beautiful poetry that accompanies all that we know to be true in the scientific world, and that there's still meaning to it, and it's still very sacred. And the same is true with the Exodus story. It's modern archaeology will say, well, we don't necessarily have any evidence that a large group came out, but we have evidence that it's maybe a smaller group came out, or that the water parted.
I mean, we've all seen the Ten Commandments in the movie.
That wouldn't show up in archaeological evidence necessarily, and we don't. We sort of have faith in the redemptive hand of God, and we learn lessons from what is a very holy story. That God takes care of the vulnerable and cares deeply about those in our midst who need redemption, and that we learn from our own history and go forth to make the world a better place. And I think that sacred narrative retains value, and that's not necessarily a literal way to look at it, but it still informs us with meaning today.
See, I knew you were going to bring a high-level participation to this, because I really think you need to pay attention to what that answer was. I want to dig a little bit deeper when we come back. Stay with us. So the celebrations of both Passover and Easter are upon us, and you're watching this program on Good Friday. And Father and I think we'll talk a little bit about what I find to be, and I've made this commentary on the radio for years and here on the television, that I just think we've missed it lately. We've just kind of missed what Good Friday is all about. But let's get back to this concept of literal versus symbolic, and I don't think you made that hard line in the discussion of Exodus. But I had some interesting, in part of this scholarly stuff that I've been in and out of, and believe me, I am no theologian by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm always fascinated about where I'm supposed to pick up the Old Testament in terms of what really happened. You know, where the timeline. Is this something that is being told to me because there's a meaning behind it, or because it specifically happened? And archaeologists will maybe fill in that gap from time to time. But I had a very, very, very smart Catholic priest who taught a theology class tell me that the Adam and Eve story is part of epic history. It was written during the Babylonian captivity to explain to people then why they were suffering. Why they were suffering, and it began with the relationship between man and God, and violating, you know, the violation of some kind of agreement, meaning Adam, Eve, apple, all, so that the story was kind of written to explain suffering. Yes? No? Obviously, you'd have to hear more about it, but what does your instinct tell you about that?
Certainly the Bible, the Jewish scriptures and the New Testament together would be revealed. They're a revealed word of God. God shows his plan for human history in the Bible. I think we both believe that as faith foundations. The context is important, and you can't throw that out, Dan, that the authors were human, even though they were divinely inspired. They were allowing their historical context, their nationality, even maybe their own sense of history to kind of be an influence on their writing style. That's certainly part of it, because the Bible is a series of books. It's a library.
And yet I have had very learned, collegiately graduated theological ministers in the Christian community, not Catholic necessarily, who absolutely swear that Adam and Eve were human beings. We started with two, and how dare you even question Genesis? And so it gets a little murky. And I think the only reason I'm asking these questions on these important observances is that I think we're losing religion. The data says that we're losing religion out there, and I think a lot of people are providing excuses for that. And some of it comes from the, come on, man. Are you really think that Moses went, whoa, you know, like the old movie, and everybody kind of ran through them, the water came back on top of them, or behind them, or that, you know, Adam and Eve really existed, or what's this thing about Noah's Ark? You know, come on, are you really thinking there was two, right? And so, if we're able to actually lighten up on the data and get more to the meaning, does that make sense in terms
Absolutely.
of, yes? Talk amongst yourselves. I mean, you know, we've done very good as we go back between Catholic and Jewish here. I mean, this is really good, Christian and Jewish. But do you know what I'm saying? Don't you feel like there's a bunch of excuses out there, and some of the stories' lack of believability give a crutch to that?
I mean, I would say that, I mean, certainly our tradition is revealed, right, and that there is a sanctity and a divinity to it, but the Jewish tradition would say that it's continually being revealed, and that it is our interaction with it that keeps it alive, and that each and every one of us has a voice in turning it, so that we do find meaning, and we do that through asking questions and through continued dialogue, and our voices are part of that conversation. And that would be a very mainstream,
sure,
central Jewish thought, that we interact with the text on a regular basis and find meaning for our lives.
So let me take you off the hook, Father, and let's move off the Old Testament to the New Testament. Somewhere along the line, and this is where I could use a little bit more theological orientation, somewhere along the line you got to move away from this is the meaning of something versus it definitely happened, to the crucifixion, which I've never doubted happened. I don't know where the timeline starts, where I start to go, oh yeah, that stuff you're reading about now, this is the fact section of the book, right? But we absolutely believe that Jesus Christ was born, lived 33 years on the planet, died at the order of Pontius Pilate, rose again on the third day.
Exactly.
Absolutely believe it.
Absolutely believe it as our faith.
That on this day we observe that he was crucified. Absolutely believe it.
Absolutely.
Sidebar, just on the Christian Catholic side, Good Friday, a lot of people are off. They're shopping. they're recreating, they're doing everything they usually do. Does it bother you?
Well, I used to do that myself before I had a conversion and entered seminary. So in a way, I'm merciful to that. But
That's a whole nother show.
Yeah, that's a whole other show.
Okay.
But the aspect is true, and we've kind of both mentioned it, I think, in passing, the whole fact of we're losing a sense of religion, we're losing a sense of commitment to a faith. And I think on Good Friday, and this really goes back to getting more people in the pews and to congregations at the temple and the synagogues, which is all part of our struggles, I think, that we have in common. If people fell in love with God and developed a relationship with God over the rules that they think that we're imposing on them, they'd come back. They'd come back every week. The same with Good Friday. If we really fell in love with God and His plan through Jesus as Christians and came back to that mystery at least once a year on Good Friday as Christians who are still trying to work with God's mercy and love, they would come back to the faith. They would read the Bible more. We might even get a few more Christians in church on Sundays throughout the year, not just Easter Sunday, because let's face it, Easter morning, every church in the Christian world will be full.
Packed.
You won't be able to find a parking space. We need those people to fall in love with.
Do you have that
our
dynamic, by the
Lord.
way, on one particular day where you can't buy a
Rosh
seat?
Hashanah and Yom Kippur.
Okay,
would be
everyone
our-
comes to
our
it to sing
equivalent.
and celebrate the Jewish New Year
right.
and atone.
Right.
All right, at least they come back.
For the most part. Yes.
Right. I mean, that's
same
right?
challenge, I
Yeah.
think.
I would suggest, though, that in some way, and I'm not preaching here, I'm just telling you what I think. I'm not going to shy away from it. I often ask people why they can have Easter without Good Friday. It seems to me that, I mean, you can, but you really can't.
You can't.
Right?
It's not as authentic, certainly. It has to be personalized. Again, that word personal, but we share the crosses. I mean, that word cross is even triggered like into our English language exchanges. You know, the fact that we all bear crosses. We all have those difficulties in life, small and large. We all have crosses in common, and the more that we realize that, the easier it would be to lean on the fact that, you know, the cross comes to save us from our own crosses. And tomorrow we'll have a Good Friday. We'll have millions of people in church. We'll do something very strange. They'll kiss the crucifix as part of our ritual. Doesn't make any sense unless you realize we've got our own crosses and the fact that Jesus came to take on everything, even our crosses, shadow, sin, and death, right to the bottom. Took everything upon Himself in God's plan. If we can't crack open a few more minutes in our day to devote them to that mystery, Easter will never be what it should be.
All right, so when we come back, we'll ask the even tougher questions. How did these two groups get along? Stay with us. Let's get outside. Welcome back. Father and Rabbi are doing a great job here. All right, so look, I think in modern times there's a real movement for Christian and Jew to spend even more common ground time, right? You participate in council of churches. We're not picking any fights anymore, right?
Right.
In fact, our Pope right now is doing everything he can, and I think the last few regimes, administrations, I should say, are about common ground. But as you heard Father so poignantly talk about the sacrifice of Good Friday, or the suffering and what it means, what do you think about? Because Jesus Christ is obviously a different interpretation for the Jewish community, right?
Right. Well, I mean, as you were talking, I was thinking religion is at its very best when it helps us make meaning out of our own lives, right? And how we deal with suffering and pain in this world. And I think Passover, as much as we celebrate, also reminds us of how we meld the bitter with the sweet. At some point, we have bitter herbs with the sweetness of charoset, which is an apple mixture, and it reminds us that you can't have one without the other. And as much as we celebrate, we also have a memorial service that falls during Passover. And I think it's when we find meaning in realizing that helps us navigate our lives that we share that common ground, that it provides us with that.
I've asked this before, but you are so conversant on what all of this symbolism mean, and all of this culinary interpretations. Do you find that everyday Jewish people are as smart about this stuff as you are able to articulate? Do they get it all?
I would say so.
They do?
Yeah. I mean, I think Passover is very accessible. It is a home-based table ritual. And people have done it in their own way with, the way their mother made or father made the charoset and the
But
chicken soup.
there's an intelligentsia amongst most Jewish people about what these things mean and why they have a spiritual connotation, correct?
I think there is. I think there's a broad knowledge base.
Ironically,
Yes.
the Eucharist, which is at the center of our Catholicism and separates Christians from Catholics from time to time, I find less and less acumen about the Eucharist, the one meal that matters, period. Don't you agree?
I do. And
Isn't that the hardship I think that the church is experiencing right now?
That's that lack of catechesis, that formal teaching that we kind of dropped the last 40 years. We haven't done a really terrific job with this previous generation. Hopefully it's going to bottom out, because you're right, we can't even tell the basic person if they know what the Eucharist is, that it's a person and we believe it's Jesus. That's probably the foundation of our whole church, is that the church gives us the Eucharist. The Eucharist is Jesus, and
the concept of transubstantiation and all that goes on there. And again, easy for people who want to take shots at any organized religion to poo-poo whatever the heck's going on with your menu as if it really makes any sense. And to the big dagger in the heart is to suggest that this whole mystic problem that you guys have with this transubstantiation of a wafer, it's like, come on, man. I mean, what's this? Are you going to a magic show? That's part of the secular pressure, I think, that's been put on both camps.
And then you run into faithful families, Dan, and on our side, I'm sure you have wonderful families in your synagogue who know their faith. They're passing it on to these little kids that they bring in for worship every week. And they're teaching them about the Eucharist. They're showing them how to make the proper respect before the tabernacle when they walk into a Catholic church. I mean, it's very captivating. So it gives us a lot of hope, and we're in the hope business. So,
all right. What is your Good Friday Easter message to everybody? Give me 30 seconds.
God has the final word. God wants peace and love for his people. The cross leads to Easter and the empty tomb.
Simple as that.
Simple as
and what about yours in Passover season?
I would say we take away the message that we were redeemed from slavery, and that is each and every one of our responsibilities to go forth and redeem the oppressed in our own world as well, and to work for its repair.
A lot more common ground these days articulated than not, right? So while I've got still 40 seconds to go, here's the ultimate question. Does it matter which pathway? Tough one.
That's the authentic search for truth. Ultimately, God is truth, so if you're searching for truth, that will be a lifetime of journey and search.
That is a modern interpretation, because we were taught early on, one way, pal, right?
That's right. But if God is one truth, everything must converge in God, so everything's leading toward God, and if we're honest with that, we'll find it.
I think you're more or less articulated. Just keep working it.
I absolutely. I think working together, and there are a lot of ways to find meaning and truth in the world, and it's important how we treat one another, isn't it?
Happy Passover.
Thank you.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Be right back.
Happy Passover, Rabbi.
So I do wish you the happiest of Passovers and Easters, and I hope you got something from this conversation. We may repeat it from time to time, because that was a nice sharing, I think, of two different faiths observing and loving one God. Interesting, huh? We'll see you next week. Got a lot to do. Bye.